All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Canada Hoops. It's your boy, Matty. Thank you for your continued support. Please keep downloading and sharing us. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Our wonderful guest today represents Edmonton, Alberta. She is a former Harry Ainley Titan, Utah Ute, a two-time Olympian with the senior women's national team for Canada basketball, and is now a key player for the program in FIBA 3x3, where she is looking to qualify for her third Olympics. She is Michelle Plouffe. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us on Canada Hoops.
Thanks for having me, Matty.
Yeah, like we chatted about before we hit record here. Just really truly appreciate your time and what you've done for the program for a lot of years now across obviously the senior women's team and now into to 3x3. I think you got a great story and you're still really getting it done on the court. How are things, Michelle? Let our listeners know and your friends and family how you're doing and just where things are at for you right now.
Yeah, lots of stuff on the go here, Matty.
Yeah.
But just finished up, I guess, in September, a really awesome 3x3 season, which is what all the basketball I'm doing is only 3x3 at this point. Stopped playing professionally after the 22 season. So been having a lot of fun. We've put our, name in the ranking, so to speak, and we're one of the top teams in the world, which is it's cool to say, but we haven't yet qualified for the Olympics, so that is the next thing on the docket coming up in May. So yeah, our team's preparing. We're doing everything we can in this off season to get ready for the qualifiers in May. For me, that means rehabbing an ACL reconstruction
Right.
from our final game of the season, which was really impeccable timing because I got to play the whole season up until the last 3 minutes of the final. So I couldn't have asked for better timing. I know that's a weird thing to say, but I'm very, confident in my recovery, and I'm very grateful to have been able to play this long in my career without having a major injury. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
No, you know it's impressive what the group has done. The last few summers, if you will, in the series, and a top program in the world, no doubt. You are the number one ranked women's player, I believe, which is absolutely awesome. And back to back MVPs and throughout the series, just really impressive. And I guess as you referenced, like the injury timing, obviously unfortunate, but maybe a blessing that towards the end of the year, rehab you mentioned is going well. How do you feel about where you'll be at for the summer as a group looks to qualify?
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm very confident and with hopeful expectation that I'll have a recovery and definitely in time for the Olympics. And I just feel super supported by Canada basketball and from our team and from the people I'm working with. And everyone who I'm working with is also feeling the same way, which is definitely encouraging. And I think it's important to have people who are bought into what you're trying to do and who are just very supportive and who believe in the goal that I'm trying to have. Because it's not the same goal for everyone. Like everyone probably wouldn't try to make a comeback like I'm trying to make. But like I said, I'm very confident, not in like my ability necessarily, but in the journey that I've had up until now to prepare me to this point. And what's, for me, my faith has been important. So in what I've seen God do in my life up until this point, and then the people around me, just everything is really filling me up with the belief that this is a very attainable goal. So I'm excited for the year.
No, sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead. No, it's
no,
great. I mean, you should like I think anyone that supports the program, follows the team, yourself, knows this is an achievable thing for Michelle Plouffe, no doubt, and with the group around you, and so that makes us happy to hear that. we're excited for the group. I know in talking with, in the fall there, Michael Bartlett, the CEO, and others. I had Kim Smith, Coach join us, which is really cool for her to be coaching you all. You know, everyone's really looking forward to the summer to really have your 3x3 team qualify, which, I know the point system is kind of weird with 3x3, but I think everyone's pretty confident. I think it's going to be a really special time for the program and your group as well. So,
Yeah.
we're wishing you specifically with the rehab and the timeline all the best, no doubt. Michelle,
Yeah. And I'm just
wondering.
excited.
Sorry,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry. I was just
Go ahead.
going
Go
to
ahead.
say, I'm also just excited for our team because, I mean, everyone who's come on, played in even a single tournament, I think it's really just given momentum to the program that we're trying to build. Because, like,
Right.
formerly there was the program. So, Michael Bartlett being on board, Kim coming on board, Ron Young at Canada Basketball doing a lot of the work behind the scenes, and just like all my teammates who are just putting in commitment and effort, especially that I'm out to carry the weight, and the team that went down to Puerto Rico for the AmeriCup, getting the job done. And so, yeah, the future is bright, I would say.
Agreed. I'm hoping we can kind of go back to a young you running around Edmonton alongside Katherine, and just how the game started taking shape for you, and if you played other sports. But just let us know, really where you got going with the game there, Michelle.
Yeah, taking it back. Okay. We'll start it. Me and Katherine are the youngest of five, so we have
Okay.
older siblings who played sports, like whatever our parents were able to put us in, they put us in. So we were like grew up in the corners of gyms, like waiting for them to finish practice, whatever it was, volleyball, basketball, soccer. So me and Katherine, twins, obviously, and then our brother was a year older. So there was just three of us that were just getting into trouble everywhere. But we kept ourselves busy from a young age, because I mean, you have to do that. We were just outside. There's no like you get creative. You have an imagination, and you make fun out of everything.
Right.
So 8 years old, I think, is when we played on our first. We, as in Katherine and myself, played on our first basketball team. And I remember even before that wanting to play on a team, but like you had to wait till 8 years old because that was the youngest age you could join a community team. But I definitely think it's because I saw my older siblings playing, and I was like, that looks like a lot of fun. I want to do that. But started out playing soccer when we were like 5 or 6. And then basketball, and then basketball and volleyball. Stopped soccer for a while, grew, I think, and then lost all like the coordination from your to your feet. Like that's a long way.
Right.
So stopped with the soccer. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why basketball. I just always found it to be the most fun, and for some reason, it was the one I worked, like I practiced the most at. So obviously, I saw myself getting better. The other sports I would play, like I remember even junior high and high school is kind of when girls started joining club teams or extra teams outside of school, and like I always chose to do basketball. That was what all my siblings were doing. My brother Daniel, my sister Andrea, like everyone was playing basketball, so it was a very natural thing that I wanted to do. Never felt like forced or pushed because it was always really fun. And then I just played it the most, practiced it the most, and so improved at it the most. And volleyball was a really fun sport. I really like my volleyball experience. I love playing beach, really bad beach volleyball player, but it's a fun little like switch up for the training. Like running in sand is very difficult. So
For
is
sure.
jumping.
Yeah.
But yeah, in high school, definitely took basketball to another level, and didn't really look back from there. So I love multi-sport philosophy. Like I think kids should play more sports than just one year round, which is kind of the way things are going now, unfortunately. But I loved all my sporting experiences. I don't know why it was basketball, Matty, but it was.
Well, smart choice. And I know, like you mentioned, Andrea, and obviously, you and Catherine in many ways are sort of tied to the hip in a sense with the game now. But Andrea was a really good player herself too, and
Mhm.
I mentioned that too. I know she played at the University of Washington and good career, and I know she follows the podcast, so we want to shout her out as well. And
Definitely.
um, that just kind of leads to my next question in terms of, obviously she would have been an influence and a role model in terms of the game for
Mhm.
you. Was there anybody else you kind of looked at through basketball that you admired, maybe an idol or kind of model your game after? Did anyone come to mind at that age?
I don't honestly, she still is to this day like a huge influence and mentor in my life, but I don't even know if I because I didn't watch a lot of basketball other than
Okay,
like my siblings. So like I knew very little about what was going on in the basketball world. Um even like in terms of modeling a game after, I don't even know where I got. I was a very not flashy, and still, I'm not really a flashy player. Like I'm very fundamental, have a basketball IQ, but like I'm not on highlight reels for my, killer
right.
crossover, you know.
Yeah,
So, um so yeah, I think it was just very much her like blazing the trail on like what could come next. Not even like, oh, I do remember like saying in junior high, there was like a what do you want to be when you grow up? And I wrote down like an NBA player because I mean, that sounds like the most fun out of all the options at the time, you know? It was like
yeah,
um, but did I even know what the next thing to do was? I wouldn't have known unless she had, played in a high school team, played on the provincial team, got a scholarship to the States. Like all those things I wouldn't have seen had it not been for her walking out that path. So, I mean, huge influence. I didn't know much about even like the national team. Like I didn't know what was going on the next level. Um, and I never really like had the big dreams and goals from a young age of like I want to play on the national team or I want to play professionally because I just didn't know those were options because I
okay.
like wasn't watching basketball or like really didn't know a lot about what was going on in the sports world. So it was just like the next thing. Like, okay, I practiced, I made this team, we did well, I did well, and then someone would be like, "Oh, you could try out for this team." Like it was very much a one step at a time thing, even to the national team. So I'm super grateful and blessed that I just had my head down and worked hard and tried to be the best at wherever I was. Cause I think, there's something to say for that. I totally believe in like setting big dreams and goals. I just didn't really have those from a young age.
No, I mean, like some guests will say, "Okay, I was a big like Steve Nash fan, right?" And he was kind of in the forefront for a lot of people through their careers. But then there's
Mhm.
been guests like yourself where it's like, I was just really kind of locked in on what I was doing. Maybe a sibling, like you said, you know, guests have said that too. So it's interesting, right? Because you can really maybe um, follow the path of someone in your family or someone in your community or follow the path of someone that's playing pro or whatever. So I just think that's always an interesting question because it just, where does that love start? Where does that influence start? And, where does that
Yeah.
path get going for someone? It's just, and and then obviously as you're going through it, like Catherine's there as well. And then she
Yeah.
obviously mentioned
Totally.
that too in her episode. I
Totally.
know when you were at Ainley, like you had a lot of success and starting to really elevate your game and play provincial teams as well, and winning provincials for Ainley and being Miss Alberta. Like you had a lot of success that was setting you up for the next level. When you look back at that time at Ainley, what's you know, you got some favorite memories or things that stand out for you?
Um, I had a great time at Ainley. I mean, I was very focused on basketball at that point in my life and career because that's what was going on. Yeah, so me and Katherine were at Ainley for 10th grade, and then we went to Hamilton for the NIDA program in 11th grade,
Right.
which was a huge learning experience. And like overall it was a good experience. Like we were playing with the top females from across Canada who were going to school and training together, and it was just a very elevated environment in terms of like work and commitment. So that was, I think, huge in like seeing where we could go, because we were by no means like the most talented players there. Like I remember being like, am I even supposed to be here? Like
Right.
just because, yeah, we were, two of the best players in Edmonton, but then you go nationally and then it's like, okay, these are some good players. And so we learned a lot. I learned a lot for sure of just even things of like, what am I practicing or training, or like, am I competing? Am I going as hard as I can? Because, when you're the big fish in a little pond, it's, it's hard sometimes to hold that standard for yourself when, it's not really the entire group. And like, thank goodness me and Katherine had each other. I don't think we would be at the level we are had we not been just like running mates in life, yeah, but in like training and competing, and in all those things. It was like we had a partner to do all those things and play against. And we didn't play a lot of one-on-one because that was not great for our relationship. But
Yeah. Right.
training, we would train and practice and do those kind of things.
What when you wrap up the high school years, like what did your recruiting look like? Your offers, what schools did you consider before you ultimately chose Utah?
Yeah, I was not a very good recruit. I returned no phone calls and I just sure left my phone. And didn't like, probably frustrating for people, but um I remember like the summer that I was being like more heavily recruited, or like the year. So it was probably my 10th or 11th grade year, like um yeah. We were traveling in the summer, so we were with the junior national team or provincial team, or probably both at that time. And like I didn't have a phone that could be used internationally. Like, it was just a different time. Like no one could
Yeah.
contact me, which was fine with me. So I just went MIA for like 6 months. And then so I don't even know. Like there it wasn't big schools. It was like, I don't even remember. Like Gonzaga, Denver. I couldn't even tell you, Matty. I was not really concerned with it. Um, I didn't put pressure on myself, but probably to like an extreme of like, okay, maybe you should, maybe you should follow up with these people. But I don't know. Maybe I just had faith that it would all work out, or confidence, or just was naive. Regardless, Utah started recruiting me. I think it was a grade 12. Yeah. So like pretty late. Um, and they had signed one of my NIDA teammates, Taryn Wachowski,
Okay.
now Baker. But I had played with her at NIDA, and so I knew she had been there. And Mark Walton, who was our NIDA coach, was like kind of friends with the coach, Elaine Elliott, who was the coach at Utah at the time. So that's the extent I knew about Utah. I didn't really know much, but they came out. They started, calling me, recruiting me. I went out there for a visit. The coach came out here for a home visit, and I had nothing to compare it to because I only took one visit. It was just to Utah.
Okay.
But I went there and I liked the Salt Lake City is beautiful. I knew Taryn, which was huge. The assistant coach who was recruiting me seemed like a good guy. And, Kim Smith at the time went there. Shona, who I don't think I knew them before that because that would have been 2010. I didn't meet them till 2011, which is funny. So yeah, it just worked out that they started recruiting me super late. They specifically asked because recruiters would ask are you two a package deal? And I was like, we're actually the opposite of a package deal. We refuse to go to school.
Right.
And so Utah was only recruiting me, which I was like, good, because we didn't want to go to the same school. And so the fact that they were only recruiting me was like a big thing because I was like, okay, this might work out. And so I just went for it, took a chance. And I was confident that it was a team that I would be able to impact relatively quickly. Obviously, there's no guarantees. No one ever said yeah, you'll be a starting freshman. But, I knew that it was a group that I could add value to very quickly and earn that role if I, put the work in and stuff. So it's kind of, I still don't know how I ended up there, but I did, and it was great.
No, good reflection because I do remember in the conversation with Katherine too. I think that had come up where it was were coaches asking you about do you both have to go to the same school? And
Mm-hmm.
she said the same thing you did. Just no, that wasn't really something we were looking at, and found it refreshing to maybe start your own path in a sense that way. And listen, Utah was a great choice for you. I know in your freshman year you were the Mountain West Conference Freshman of the Year, and then in your senior year was now the Pac-12 and all conference picked by coaches and media and all defensive team. That's a great school and a great program. Playing in a really good conference now. What memories stand out? Being a Ute where you're establishing your game and living away from home and maybe finding yourself in a sense. What stands out at Utah there, Michelle?
Oh, Matty, that's a whole other podcast. But
We got time. We got time.
It's a lot happens at that time, or it did for me anyways. Yeah, you move away from home. There's a lot of change. You're figuring things out. You're going to school and doing athletics and learning how to time manage and be responsible and take care of yourself and all these things. But I really loved the environment where I could contribute. And so all my hard work was paying off, and I separated myself just by doing what I had done up until that point, doing extra things, just because that is what I do to try and be at my a standard of excellence is kind of what I've taken throughout my whole life, based on discipline and hard work and just people who have poured into me and taught me those things from a young age. But it was eye-opening to see that even at that level, not everyone was like that. It's different. I think at that time it was anyways, for Canadians to go down there, you had to set yourself apart because there's thousands of American players who could be recruited to play at university. It's just the nature of the situation. So you had to be somewhat standoutish or excellent to even get an offer, even 10 years ago. So I didn't realize that not everyone had to take that path. So by the fact that those were some of the things that were important to me, I was able to put in the work that I was doing to, get freshman of the year and contribute and to be a leader from a very early career. And and step into a bigger role, because my freshman year also, Taryn Wachowski, she actually tore ACL my freshman year. So, there was a big gap in production and just leadership and contribution. And so that allowed me to step into that role. But also, as everyone goes through in some capacity at some point, whether it's sports or jobs or whatever, I had to mature in, a lot of ways. College.
Yeah.
Not everyone matures, but I was trying to mature in like how I viewed performance and identity and myself as a basketball player, and that being my total identity. Because there was definitely some, I took myself way too seriously, first of all, which is good. Like, it gets you to a certain point of success. But there was also like the times when either I had a poor performance or we lost a game we shouldn't have, or whatever the case is, and I would be like a hot mess for like 3 days, like really feeling like a bag of crap, like just in my coach's office, like having a pity party, and like really how embarrassing. But anyways, that's just where I was at, and it was because I really tied my performance to like my whole self-worth, which is just like a fixed mindset of it, like my value and how I feel about myself is based on like a performance. Like, it's just required some working through of, okay, what is my identity actually rooted in? And yes, like being driven and extremely hardworking and dedicated is helpful, but when it's like affecting your whole life, like you need some perspective here.
Yeah.
So, I had to wrestle with that a little bit, and started playing on the national team, which actually really gave me great perspective at a pivotal point in my career, I would say, because I think it was 2012. So we were in the process of qualifying um, for the Olympics, it would have been, or maybe it was no, I think it was in the qualifier. But anyways, regardless, I was like 17 years old, so super young.
Yeah.
Maybe 18. And playing with like vets, like Chelsea Aubrey, Teresa Gabriel, Kim, Shona, like Tamara Tatum, Alicia, like just great quality women. And I remember specifically, like, we played a game, we lost, like a close game. And I remember going in the locker room, and my experience in like university, when you like lose a game, everyone's like, there might be tears, like everyone's just looks super depressed and like not speaking. And but after we had played this game, go into the locker room, and there was like, obviously it's not like a jubilant experience, but like, you like get changed, you get in the showers, people are like, talking to each other in like not a angry way. Like, it wasn't a super emotional experience. And I was just like, how can you, like, how come this is what a locker room looks like after a loss? And I forget who I talked to, but I had asked one of them, and I wish I remember who it was, but they were just like, well, like, it's not like we were trying to lose. We all know everyone is 100% committed and giving their best effort because of the character of the women on that team. And so what good is it to like beat yourself up or like be emotionally draining for everyone just because you lost? Like, everyone knows that everyone gave their best. And I was like, oh wow. Like, this feels much better than like whatever experience I have in my university locker room. Like, that doesn't feel good, but this feels like a normal perspective. Like, perspective. This isn't everything. Like, this is a game we play. Yes. Yes, we're all trying our hardest. Yes, we're committed and doing our best, but like the loss doesn't determine much of anything else other than we lost a basketball game. And that was just super valuable perspective that I tried to, like, it definitely was a switch in my mindset of, okay, just gives me perspective on what's actually important and what's, not as important, or what needs to be held with a certain weight and what doesn't. So that was one of the biggest lessons I learned in college. Thankfully, I learned it relatively early in my career because, you go on and you play with players and you play on teams, and not everyone's learned that emotional regulation. So I'm grateful for sure for all those experiences.
Well, I know like your national team, senior women's national team time kind of really started. I know you were at the London Olympics in 2012, so right kind of smack dab in the middle of, your career at Utah, and I just think that's a great lesson, right? You take that from the national team and that perspective, and that, listen, tomorrow's going to come, and the next game is going to come, right? So
Mhm.
um, I love hearing that because that's just clearly a difference maker for you in your career. And there's been a lot of Canadians have gone to Utah over the years
Yeah.
with respect to basketball. We're starting to see a lot of schools now that sort of become a hub for Canadian players. So I thought that was really cool. You mentioned Kim and Shona and Paige went there, and yourself.
Yeah.
I know I'm missing a few. So that's always a cool fact. When you wrap up at Utah, Michelle, like you're looking to go pro and start that next step in your career. I know you were drafted um, by the Seattle Storm in the WNBA draft. Just talk about that transition, and you'd been around pros, obviously, with the national team, and maybe having an idea what that kind of looks like. But let us know, just how you got your pro portion going, and just what that looked like for you.
Yeah. It really, I really got a bigger desire to play pro. It was another one of those things, like, I'm playing college. I don't know what's coming next until I know that playing pro is an option. And I think it was Kim, even because she was on staff at Utah in my last couple of years.
Right.
I think it was my last 2 years. And had said something, her and we had another former Utah player on staff, Morgan Warburton. She was from Utah. But both had, both her and Kim had been drafted and played overseas. And one or both of them had said something to me like, like, you could be like a good player overseas, or like you could be this kind of player. And I was like, oh, that could be fun. Like, that sounds better than anything else I have going on.
Right.
um, and so definitely the national team was huge in preparing me for being a pro because, at the time, the national team was made up of pros. It was a lot of vets and women who were either playing overseas or had and now just doing national team. But everyone was a pro except for like me and Natalie Achanwa, who was the same age as me. And I think we were definitely the youngest, and I think only college players at the time. And so that experience really, really prepared me more than college did, for sure, to go overseas, because let me tell you, it's not a glamorous experience. Like,
Right.
you like show up in a like crusty old French gym in like sometimes the middle of nowhere, and like the weight room is like a few items, and your gym is freezing, and you have a practice, and then that's it. Like, maybe you have nothing else for the rest of the day. So then it's like, okay, I have a lift. Sometimes your team has a strength and conditioning coach. A lot of the times, back then, anyways, not like you were on your own. Um, so I'm very thankful that I had, like lifting programs from the national team, and just, comprehension of what I need to do to be in a game shape, or like to be ready to go. University in the States it's a great experience. It I don't think, I say this quite often, I don't think it prepares you for like real life.
Right.
Because it is like a bubble, which is great. Like, you have, now it's even crazier bubble, but even before, like, we had someone to, like, we had a physio, a trainer, like if we needed appointments, they could call and make them and like set stuff up, and like an academic advisor, and like just all the resources to help you be able to focus on your sport more, which was great. But post graduation, and you end up overseas, and there's no resources. It's like, what are you gonna do? Do you know how to do anything? I was
Right.
in like France, didn't speak French, so like those were like huge learning curves. And because I had traveled with the national team and had those international experiences and been around pros and that kind of thing, it helped me drastically for sure. Because I didn't know where I was going to end up. Like, there's a whole process of getting an agent and just having conversations. And because I had, teammates on the national team who had played in this league, on these teams, they were a huge resource for me. And like, okay, is this a good situation? Is this a good league? And they were very open and willing to share those kinds of, nuggets of knowledge because they've had those experiences. And I think for the most part, players are very willing to share those kinds of things, because it's not like we want anyone to end up in a bad situation if we've had one. It's not like, like you really gotta get the full European experience and have a crazy coach. It's like, don't go there, avoid this team
Right.
because that person's a little psycho. So I had people kind of helping me out in that way, and in having conversations with agents, I had people, tell me what I should be looking for, and what questions to ask, and those kinds of things. And I was very much like willing to seek out people who knew more than I did, because it just seemed like a logical thing to do if I wanted, to make good decisions. Now I didn't do that always. It was like learning experience of like maybe what I should do. The tryout with the Storm after I was drafted, I could have been way more prepared. Like, I was very ill prepared, like mentally, emotionally, physically, even like just the style of play, what I should be doing. So like that was overwhelming. It was also like a lot going on that year. Like, that's the year my brother had passed away in December. So as a family, we were going through a lot. And so there's just a lot going on. So I went into that training camp, like not super confident, but I was still there trying to make a team.
Right.
And I was at the point where, I was the last draftee there. They'd cut everyone else. They actually moved me into an apartment. So like I thought I was like, okay, I'm in the apartment. Like, that's a big deal when they move you from the hotel to the apartment. It's kind of like, okay, we have plans. And then like the last day of training camp, like a vet, I don't even remember who it was, got cut from another team. And so they picked her up and cut me on like the last day of training camp. I was
Dang.
like,
Dang.
dang.
Yeah.
Dang, I thought I'd made it. But no. Not that I had my best tryout, or like it's just, if you're not prepared, it can be an overwhelming experience. I still did well, but like they made a business move. That's what it is.
Right.
And so I went overseas after playing with the national team. But actually, that summer we were hosting. It was the first time Edmonton had hosted national team games for international competition. So this must have been 2014, and we
Okay.
hosted Brazil for a 3-game series. And so we were preparing for that in Edmonton, and I get a call from like my agent, and they're like, "Okay, Seattle wants to bring you back." And I was like, "Oh," but then I was like, "But Edmonton's hosting like national team games. Like, this has never happened before. Like, my family's here, my
Yeah.
friends are here. Like, this is a big deal." So I talked to my agent, and I was like, are they like bringing me back to like be a practice player? Like, are they actually wanting to look at me? Like, those are the kind of things. Like, am I just gonna not contribute because like I wanted to contribute. So I ended up saying, sorry, I'm going to play with my national team in Edmonton in front of my friends and family. So I didn't go back. I didn't do the call back. But it was a really fun time in Edmonton playing against Brazil. Like I played pretty well in the games. And then we end up like staying in Edmonton and hosting lots of games. So I was like, well, that's funny.
No, that's cool. And I know, I think you got started in Greece, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, with Olympiacos.
I ended in Greece.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, so I
So
was
you went to France right away.
yeah, I went to France right away. So
Okay,
I was on 4 different teams for 8 years. I think I spent in France.
okay,
Yeah, and the last 3 years were in Lyon, um, which is the club Tony Parker owns. So
right.
that was probably the best experience in terms of quality of everything.
I know, like quite a few guests that have joined us have played in France and kind of say it's one of the top leagues for professional women. You know, what makes it a great league from your point of view?
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's just competitive from top to bottom. Um, I think the French program itself is pretty strong, and they like keep a lot of their players. Like 10 out of their 12 national team players play in the league. Like everyone stays in there because of whatever agreements they have, but it makes their league quite good.
Right,
And honestly, it's like a factor that a lot of people don't think of is like, okay, will you get paid? Like yes, you sign a contract, but will they pay you your contract? Like that's unfortunately a thing overseas. And so France is very, they just have a lot of laws and rules about that. So like you will get paid. Whereas, I played in Greece and I've heard, many, many testimonies to say people who signed contracts and the club stopped paying them and then they had to leave. That just happens, unfortunately. But for the most part, France is quite good about that. So I think that is an attractive piece. Like, okay, I will get paid the money that that
right,
I signed a contract for. And yeah, I don't know. They're just good players have come through the league. Spain used to be really, really strong, and they're kind of on the up and up again because the Spanish team is really good. They keep a lot of their players. They bring in international players with national team experience, and yeah, it's not a terrible place to live. So
right.
there's that going for it. So it depends what you're looking for, where you end up is how I tell players who are looking to go overseas. I'm like, what are your main objectives? What are your goals? Like, do you want to be somewhere where you enjoy your life outside of basketball? Do you want to, like, those are important questions. Like, what's the most important thing? And then that's kind of will determine where you end up. It's not always about money for everyone. Like, I never wanted to go to Russia for more money because for me personally, I was like, I'd rather not, just because the travel for games was like 24 hours, like just some crazy travel days. And I
No,
was like, I don't
no,
think I could
thanks.
do that. I was like,
No,
I will pass on the overnight train. But
yeah,
um, so yeah, it really depends. But I think it's a really strong league. It's still one of the highest. There's a bunch of Euro League teams competing in the French league. So
right.
yeah, quality.
No, I like it. And any just from being overseas, like some players kind of have like some wild stories, just maybe with fans or situations. You got a moment that might stand out.
Um, yeah. Okay, so Olympiacos was a really fun, crazy experience.
Okay,
Greece was a blast. So much different from France. In a lot of ways, even in like the professionalism of the league. Like women's basketball in Greece isn't even considered like a profession for local players.
okay,
So that affects everything from like facilities to like everything. But I don't know if you've heard of like the Olympiacos Panathinaikos rivalry that is in Athens.
Okay.
So Olympiacos is the red team, Panathinaikos is the green team. And there's like 5 teams in Athens, but these two have like a history because of the football, like the soccer teams. Like people have like killed each other over this rivalry. Like it's insane. I've never seen anything like it. Like all over Athens, you'll see either like the symbols for both teams. You could be in this part of town or this part of town. Every person you talk to is either for one or the other. Like they're either green or they're red. Like I was like, this is insane.
Wow.
And so they like warned me of that before I came in, like just to let you know this is a thing. And I had no idea of it prior to being introduced to it by the Greeks. So we were playing in was it the final? Okay, so it was the final. So it was Olympiacos and Panathinaikos in the final because like those were really the only 2 good teams. And so we were playing in Panathinaikos. It was the first time I had been in their gym because I came in like halfway through the season. So I had missed their regular season game at Panathinaikos. But I had played against them in our home gym, and it was still crazy. Like fans don't show up for any other game. Like women's basketball in Greece is like maybe less than high school games here for sure.
Okay.
But for Panathinaikos, all the crazy fans come out. Like they don't even watch women's basketball, but they'll come just because of this rivalry. So I had seen it kind of in our gym, but our gym, when we played Panathinaikos, we played in the men's stadium, which was like thousands of people seated. Regularly, we play in like a practice court with 2 rows of benches. It was great. So anyways, we go to Panathinaikos for the first game of the final. And basically, their gym is like in the basement of the old soccer stadium. So like,
wow.
There's no windows. It's like you're in the basement with this super old court, and it's just dark, painted like everything's painted black and green. And so I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. And in warm-up, the fans, I don't know if I would call them fans, but anyways, Panathinaikos people started showing up probably before we were even on the court, so like an hour before the game. And they're like smoking inside, smoking other stuff inside, like banging their drums and like yelling things at us, like for sure, definitely yelling things at us. Like they're probably like just cursing us. I was like, I'm so glad I do not understand Greek. My teammates were like, do you want to know what they're saying? I was like, do not tell me what they're saying. I do not want to know.
Right.
Like crazy. And so in warm-up, like we cannot hear. You're getting like, your lungs are filling with smoke essentially. And this is just the warm-up. It's crazy. There's like some people are like throwing water like over the thing, and someone's like coming to like mop it up. It's like not on the court yet, but it's close. And so I was like, this is going to be crazy. And the game starts. The first minute of the game, so we start the game. I think it was the first maybe basket they scored. The crowd starts lighting off flares in the gym.
Oh my goodness.
And like there's no windows, so the gym is filling with smoke. So I'm standing on the opposite baseline and I cannot see the basket on the other end. Like the gym is filled with smoke. And my teammates had shown me videos about last year. This is what happened. And we had to like stop the game until it cleared out, whatever. And so I was like, obviously now the game's going to stop because they told me this was going to happen. And I turned to the ref and I was like, so is this when we stop? Like we were about to inbound. And I was like, are we going to stop the game? And he's like, no. And I was like, wait a second. I was like, we're playing in this? Like we can't play it. Like I can't even see the basket. He's like, no, you play. And he tosses me the ball, and I was like, what is happening? Like, we were playing, inhaling all kinds of stuff, and
Wow.
you just like played until it kind of cleared. It was crazy. And then it was the most intense atmosphere. Like, it was a close game the whole way through, and we ended up winning, and it was crazy. And then we had to, like, because for these games, like, they bring out the SWAT teams to the gyms. So, like, there's SWAT lining, like, the tunnel. Every Panathinaikos Olympiacos sport has SWAT at their games because people are crazy. So, like, SWAT with their shields are, like, corralling us into the tunnel. People are, like, throwing stuff on the court, like water bottles and water. And I was like, that was fun, but, like, crazy.
Yeah, yeah. No, great story.
Girls.
I mean, there's some crazy stories from over there that I think
Yeah.
maybe in North America we don't really understand. So,
Oh,
uh,
no. It
yeah,
was
it's
crazy.
good
Yeah.
stuff. Michelle, here on Canada Hoops, we love to talk Canada basketball, especially with the guests who have played for the program, which you have obviously done through all the years, and whether it's senior women's national team or 3x3. What does playing in the red and white mean to you?
Yeah, I'm super blessed to have had the career I've had, and obviously Canada basketball has just been a big part of my basketball journey, um and I'm blessed to represent not only myself but my family and my country, and just be a representation of all the values that I hold dear, and be able to, show them on the court, or show them to my teammates or coaches, or just to the program. I just think that setting a standard of excellence is worthwhile, and whether that's in basketball or being a good teammate, or just being focused and committed to something for a very long time, has just really grown myself in ways that I didn't know I needed to, and I think has just prepared me for success after basketball, just because I have, you know, been committed to a program for, a significant amount of years. And yeah, I'm just super grateful. I'm grateful to, like, Allison and Mike McNeil, who took a chance on me in 2011, who, um, to see something in me that I didn't even know, to really start off my Canada basketball career. So I'm just grateful for all the people who have been a part of my journey, and all the coaches and teammates that I've had who have really, the ones who've believed in me and pushed me, and, pulled something out of me. I definitely wouldn't be here without loads of people. So I'm just very grateful, for that whole experience.
What are the conversations like with Katherine, and just in terms of um, the times and teams and moments that you've been on um, together through the program? Like, obviously, the many conversations about life stuff, but when it comes to the game and those moments, and you're both representing the Plouffe name on the back. Like, what are those? You know, not many players in the program can attest to this. Well, what are the conversations like for the two of you with these, with respect to playing so much with the program and representing your family? Like, those got to be special conversations for the two of you.
Hmm. Yeah, we do have great conversations, and I think, at this point, it kind of always has been our heart's been to add value wherever we are, and also, um, try to make it better wherever we are. And so, like, now with 3x3, it's been quite a journey, but, we've had lots of conversations over, okay, how can we do this better? What does our team need? What does the program need? Um, how can we be better for our team and for the program? Just because we've had to wear many hats, in this situation, and which has been, valuable lessons in building a skill set and those kinds of things. But yeah, we really have a desire to, like, equip the next generation, and to be leaders ourselves, and to equip leaders. So we're always just looking for ways to, you know improve and to help our team be better, because we're always trying to set a standard of excellence for ourselves, and because we know that people can also reach that level themselves, and sometimes we need examples to go out in front and to just start running, and so people can be like, okay, we're running, let's go. Sometimes it requires different things from you at different times. And so we've had a lot of different conversations based on the situations of teams and where we're at and how we're contributing. Obviously, a lot of frustrations. Like, we've been each other's biggest confidant and best friend over the years, for sure. So that's a pretty special experience to be able to share with her, and to say that we've helped build something with this 3x3 team has been just an awesome experience. And I mean, we wouldn't be here without each other, and I for sure wouldn't be here without her. And so she's just the greatest teammate and just such a great leader, and has worn many hats and is carrying, definitely a bigger load that now that I'm, unable to compete right now, but just really wants to see her teammates be the best they can be, and myself included. And so she's just been a real inspiration to me on, like, okay, putting in extra work, being dedicated, being a great teammate and a great friend, and just building trust with people, I think is one of her strengths. And it's just because she's so genuine, and she really genuinely cares about people outside of how they're contributing on the court. Like, I know throughout her whole career, her teammates have always been so appreciative of the person she is, which I think is more important than the player she is, though she's a great player. But it's definitely just really cool to see, like, how much value she adds wherever she goes. And it's not always appreciated, for sure. I don't think programs or teams really know what they have when they get her. They're really blessed to have her on her team. But a lot of the times it is about, what are you doing on the court, or how many points are you scoring, or like those stats. And it's like, okay, well, who's holding things together behind the scenes
Right.
when there's players who are going through tough times or whatever it is? She's really the glue, and she's just due to her character and her integrity. So it's been a really cool journey.
That's awesome. With the 3x3 team and the group, and obviously the success, truly being, one of the best 3x3 groups and teams out there. Uh, in your opinion, like, what's made you, Catherine, Paige, and Casey so successful as a group? Like, why do you guys seem to really succeed, like, through everything?
Yeah. What is the secret sauce?
Yeah.
um, I think it's our attitude and our mindset. Um, Obviously our work ethic is as well. And there's a little bit of strategy involved, but I just really think we all have a humility to do whatever it takes, and also to be able to listen to everyone's opinions, everyone's feedback within our group, because that really allows for buy-in. You really get ownership over what you're doing. You're more passionate. Your heart's more in it. You're willing to do whatever it takes when you know you're playing a part in the team's success. And I didn't always feel that on all the teams and all the programs, but it's definitely something that I feel here, and I hope that all my teammates feel as well, because everyone contributes and everyone is such a huge part. It doesn't always look the same. It's not always about who's scoring the most points or whatever. It's just we're all willing to do what it takes. No one's trying to get all the glory. Like, no one's trying to be a star. And I think it's a really special thing when everyone has, ownership as is excited about the role that they have, and are willing to take it on, because I'm fortunate to be one of, the best players on tour right now. But I definitely wouldn't be there without teammates who have bought into our team's success, and that allows us to succeed. So I think it's just a chemistry, like a willingness and an attitude, and just like, I think humility is really, really key. It's not a word that's tossed around very much in the sporting world these days, but I think that great players have a willingness to put the team before themselves, and that's very important in 3x3. And it's just created a bond that's stronger off the court, which helps on the court. And so we're always excited for each other more than we are for ourselves when we succeed or when someone gets recognized, which is just really fun to be a part of. Like, it's not often that you get to play with a group that's just super pumped for you, and
Right.
it's just a lot of fun. We have fun.
Yeah, you can tell. I mean, I know when you watch the games, just kind of seeing how you all prepare in training, I can tell it's a close group. Catherine and Paige have stressed that as well, and I just think it's you know, it is rare, like you said. I don't think it happens all the time. So I wanted to get your perspective. I know you've represented Canada basketball across many teams, whether it's the senior women's national team. You're a two-time Olympian. The success with 3x3. Is there a moment so far in the red and white that stands out for you? That's like maybe most special.
I have found this journey with 3x3 to be the most special.
Okay.
It's not a single moment. Um, Obviously, representing Canada at the Olympics were very special moments. To be there with Katherine in 2016 was really cool because she wasn't there in 2012. Though she surprised me and showed up in London to watch, which
Cool.
is like, that was crazy. That was really awesome. But then we got to both be on the team in 2016. So that was special just to be there with her and to have that shared experience and go through that together. So that was special. And I'm just really looking forward to representing Canada this summer. I think it's going to be a big summer, and I know what we're capable of, and not to say that it's not going to be incredibly difficult to win an Olympic medal, but I believe that we could do it, and so that's exciting. And that would be just a really really cool third Olympic experience. It just means different things at this point.
Right.
Um, and so I'm really hoping for that.
Outside of the 3x3 team, maybe from your time with the senior women's national team, like who have you gotten close with from your time in the program that you didn't maybe know as well until you started playing together with the national team? Anybody come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, Kim, I was able to play actually overseas as well. So we played on
Cool.
the same club in Montville, France for 2 years, which was a great experience. So I've had some great times with her and Ben and now Sophie. And it's just cool that she's able to now be part of 3x3. Like, um, she's just put so much into the program. I have so much respect for her and just the work that and the standard that she set for all of her teammates always. She's just been a great leader by example. And, I've become good friends with her and Lizanne Murphy and Shona and Mur and um, Tamara. Like, I've had great teammates who have turned into great friends. And we don't always talk a lot or stay in touch a lot, but definitely when we get together, there's just like a friendship that goes beyond hello. It's like there's actual care for each other and wanting each other to succeed in whatever we're doing, and just like genuine love and support, which is it's not common, but definitely friendships that have come from the program that I'm just so super grateful for.
Yeah, I like it. And you've mentioned some greats for the program. Like obviously Kim has joined us and really regarded as one of the all-time greats. And some of the other players you mentioned, probably don't get enough recognition. And so that's really cool. Michelle, do you have a top five or favorite five of all time for Canada basketball?
Okay, and just clarifying question: are these of my teammates, people I've played with, or is this all-time men's and women's no limits thing?
This is kind of what I say to everyone. It's your five. It can be teammates or not.
Okay.
Men, women, it does not matter. It's your five.
Okay. Well, that broadens things up a little bit.
There you go.
Okay. This is tough. I'm going to take Steve Nash for my first round pick because
Okay.
that seems like an obvious choice. But anyways, like I said, my sister's one of the best teammates of all time, and this one of the best 3x3 players in the world. So I'm going across all sports. So my Katherine Plouffe, second pick.
Yep.
Kim is one of the greatest teammates and leaders that I've had, so I'm going to pick Kim. What are we at? Am I on the team?
Well,
probably not.
Put yourself in it.
That's weird.
No, other guests do it. They're like, oh, I'm going to put myself in that 5. It's your 5.
That's true. Okay, we're at 3. I'm assuming we're playing 5-on-5 then, because there's 5 people.
Yeah.
Okay. Although Steve Nash would be a great 3x3 player.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. I would take at the center position stretch center Kelly Oldenik.
Nice.
Yeah, he can just do it all. He's fun to watch. We've been running this same kind of path. He actually played against my brother in high school. So they're the same age. We're very similar age.
Everyone loves Kelly. He gets a lot of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
One more spot
in the guard position.
Can be anybody.
Surely there's a very talented okay, this is tricky. Do I go men's or women's?
I didn't mean to stress you out so much.
You're kind of stressing me out. I should have been better prepared, but I didn't have the specifics of the situation. We'll go with I like Jamal Murray.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know him much. I would like to know if he's like a good teammate and stuff, because that's one of my qualifications for being on my top 5.
Yeah.
So someone will have to fill me in on that. But yeah.
I think people, hey, that's a great 5. And I think people, just with respect to Jamal, like if he can be in Paris this summer, I think there's a lot of expectation that he's going to really push some things forward. So that's a great 5. I love it. And, Steve obviously is mentioned in a lot. And Kim, when I asked that question, Kim has been in a lot of 5s, which is always really cool. Michelle, anyone you'd like to see join us on Canada Hoop? Somebody that's got maybe a good Canada basketball story? Anybody come to mind?
Oh my! You've had so many people on. It's been.
I know. I've been really fortunate.
Yeah, you've done some good interviews. Have you had Jermaine Buckner on?
Yeah, I had Buck on. I think
like 2020. Hey, a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. Jermaine was that was a good one. And like I said, that was kind of fun because I had played against him, like we were talking about. So
yeah, that's right. He can go in my 5.
Okay, cool. I like it.
Now we have 6, but it's whatever. But anyways,
well, you need someone. You need someone off the bench.
I don't know if he would be happy with the bench position, but
Yeah, he's with the Celtics now, right? That's really cool. Yeah. Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody that you think might want to join us, or got a good story? Anybody come to mind? Another tough question, I know.
No one's like popping into my head, but I've been pretty like in a hole of just training, so I don't even know who's going on in the basketball world right now.
I got you. No, that's okay.
Surely someone will come to mind later, Matty, and I'll have to send you a message.
Cool. I look forward to that. You'll be like, yeah, this is who you should go. Sounds good. Just listen, any shout outs or thank yous, I'll give you the mic before I get you out of here. And again, it's been a pleasure having you join us. But any shout outs or thank yous you want to put out there?
Oh wow. Well, thank you, Matty, for having me on. It's been a blast just chatting with you and just yeah, I love that you're want to connect and let people know about Canada basketball and just people's journey. I love that you care about people's lives other than basketball. So
Thank
thank
you.
you. Yeah, I mean, lots of thanks. Thanks to God for blessing me and giving me gifts that I can use. Um, just thankful for all my teammates, coaches who, like I said, have believed in me and helped me along the way. There's just so many. I don't know how anyone could say they are self-made because I don't think anyone gets this far in life without help.
Right.
So, and everyone who's been encouraging me with my rehab, I'm just very appreciative. All the random strangers at the gym who know what I'm doing. And yeah, just the people who have sent me messages encouraging me and believing in me and just really confident that I am someone who can get through this because, I believe it as well. So I know I'm going to come back stronger and better off and hopefully improved in many different ways. So I'm excited for what's to come in 2024.
Well, we're excited to see you in Paris this summer. I know that's going to happen for you and the group. We want to wish you all the best, and we're truly looking forward to supporting you. In the red and white again, Michelle.
Awesome. Thanks, Matty.
No problem. That's a wrap on another episode of Canada Hoops. I want to thank Michelle Plouffe for pulling up. Thank you for listening. Remember to rate and review us wherever you get your podcast. Keep supporting Canada basketball and our Canadian Hoopers, and we will see you on the next episode.